Making maps in R is a little tedious. It could be a little bit easier, but in general, it's actually not too hard. One of the things that we want to recognize is that for the most part, we'll often be given data in sort of a latitude-longitude system. Now, latitude is a set of bars that run from the equator to the North Pole and the equator to the South Pole. And the equator is 0 on this system, North Pole is 90, and the South Pole is negative 90. Now, longitude measures sort of the amount east and west from the prime meridian, which is pretty close to the Greenwich meridian in Europe. And so we have the amount to the west, which is the negatives, and the amount to the east, which is the positives. Um, so the problem with latitude and longitude is that small differences in latitude longitude coordinates near the equator are really large distances, but up near the poles they're much smaller. And so there's a lot of problems with latitude and longitude, but there's a lot of data out there that is latitude and longitude. There are some other reference point systems. So one of the most famous is the Universal Transverse Mercator. What that does is it takes 60 points along the globe, and then from those 60 reference points, you'll indicate a location by a some amount easternly and some amount northerly of that reference point. Um, it works a little bit more consistently, but the main point here is that latitude and longitude are not the only way to specify locations on the globe. The next thing that we want to talk about is the fact that spatial objects can have a couple of different ideas. So first off, you can think of just simple points on the surface of the globe, somewhere, some point, but it's just a point. Next, you can think of something more like a river, where you think of, a river isn't just a point, but it is a sequence of points where there is order to that. And so if I'm going to try to store the location and boundary of a river, what I really care about is I want to take a bunch of points and then just connect the dots with those all the way from the headwaters down to the ocean. The final thing that I want to build is something called a polygon, which is sort of like a line, except that the last point in the line connects up with the very first. So using this, we can do things like draw the borders of countries. So you can think of the country border as just a sequence of points that ends right where it starts, and you end up with some sort of shape that represents the boundary of that country. You can do the same thing for islands or states or what have you. So these are three different types of geometric object where it's either points or lines, which is points that have an order, or it's polygons, and those polygons can have some pretty interesting features inside of it. Now, in particular, polygons also allow for holes in the middle of it. So you can have a country, and then inside that country you could have something else. For example, this happens in Italy, where Vatican City is inside Italy, but Vatican City is its own sort of nation state. One of the hard part about making maps in R is that we need to somehow get the geographic information of whatever we're trying to draw. So for example, if I'm interested in counties or states in the United States, I need somewhere to get those shapes of the different counties or the states or the United States in a whole. There's a couple of different ways to do it, one of which is the package maps. Now this package comes with built into ggplot2, but unfortunately it's fairly US specific. But it's a really nice way to get US counties. Um, so at any rate, the way we're going to use this is we're going to use this map data command, and you can give it states or counties or what have you. So in this first example, I'm going to actually ask for the world map, and I'm going to call this geo.data. Now, when this geo.data comes up, we've got a longitude and latitude. So this is going to correspond to our x coordinate and our y coordinate. And this group number is talking about the particular shape that we're going to look at. Now, we start with the country of Aruba, and, or is this an island? I'm actually not sure if it's an island or a country, but we've got this group number which is going to specify the shape of the particular country. I think it's a country. Now the order is this 1, 2, 3, so this would be how you would order it. So when we play connect the dots to form the shape of Aruba, this is the order in which we're going to play connect the dots. So given this sort of information, all we need to do is to take the latitude and longitude and play connect the dots by group. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to draw these polygons, and the outside shape of the polygons is going to be white. The inside is going to be gray, and the x coordinate is longitude, the y coordinate is latitude, and we're going to do this by group. If I didn't do this by group, then there would be lines going back and forth between different countries. So it would start in Aruba, and then it would pick the next country in alphabetical order and draw a line there, and so we'd get a bunch of back and forth stuff. So that's what the group equals group is all about, is to utilize this column to say, only draw the shape for Aruba, then move on to the next country and draw that shape. Don't connect the two countries. All right, so this actually works relatively well. Within the maps data set, there is a US country. There are state boundaries of the United States. There's county boundaries within the states. You can have lakes. There's also an Italy and France and New Zealand, but unfortunately that's it. So there's a lot of things that we're missing. So for example, here's a case where I'm going to grab from the world map my region. This region is going to be the country of Ghana, but unfortunately the maps dataset doesn't have the provinces related to Ghana, which is kind of annoying and weird. Next, we're going to see that there's some information within some cities as well. So we're going to take my maps.us.cities, and we're going to grab out of this country. This country is, because it's within the US cities, this actually corresponds to states, which is kind of weird. So we're going to filter out and just grab the Arizona cities, and then we're going to get rid of the Arizona part in the city name. So we're going to just pull that out. And then finally, we're going to take only a handful of those, and we're going to draw a map of Arizona with some cities happily labeled. And to do this, we're just going to draw the polygon. Now this is the polygon is the state boundary. So we're going to take our map data that is the state of Arizona, draw it, draw the boundaries, fill it in with the gray. Now we're going to add some points for the cities. Notice we're going to use a different data set for the cities. We're going to use this one up here. And